The following program is a work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, rioters could face even more public scrutiny, and students speak up about the role of phones in their lives. Good afternoon and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Justin Morissette. Premier Christy Clark made her throne speech on Monday. Among the most hotly contested items in her speech related to what she called a dark stain on the city of Vancouver. The Premier announced her support of broadcasting the trials of suspected rioters, but as Camille Caramali finds out, Vancouverites aren't sure how they feel about it.
Chaos, mayhem, pandemonium. These are the events that occurred on the night of June 15th, and these are the faces of the rioters Christy Clark wants the world to see. The Premier has announced that she's pushing to have the trials of the alleged rioters publicly broadcast. I had the chance to talk with Vancouver criminal lawyer Eric Goddardi about the idea of televising the trials.
Here, there seems to be this sense that we want to continue some notion of public shaming in relation to these trials, and I think that's a concept that is probably best left out of our criminal justice system.
Here's where it all went down, the corner of Georgia and Hamilton. Businesses were attacked by rioters, glass shattered and broken everywhere, goods were stolen, and it's some of these very same businesses that want these rioters exposed. This coffee shop was one of the many businesses in the area damaged by the rioters. Johanna Carlson, a barista at the shop, had to clean up the wreckage the next morning, saying that most of the windows were broken and some of the food items were also taken.
It's not like they got paid to riot, and so it's their own will. So, no, I don't think they've been through enough yet, no.
Other Vancouverites feel the same.
Disagree. I don't think there's enough shame that these people can be exposed to. It was disgusting what happened in this part of the city, and I'm disgusted, and I think a lot of people are, and the more shame the better.
I do believe that they should show it so that people would recognize them and see that Vancouver is doing something for what happened.
Whether broadcast or not, the trials will happen, allowing the city of Vancouver to hopefully put that dreadful night behind us once and for all. Camille Caramali in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
As mentioned, the provincial government returned to the legislature this week. The Premier addressed the province for her annual throne speech. Liz Craig joins us now live to bring us more from this. Liz, can you give us some details about what issues the Premier addressed?
Thanks, Justin. Well, a lot of what was announced in the throne speech has been in the works for some time now, including the BC Jobs Plan. There were a couple things, though, that did grab people's attention. The first, as Camille detailed for us, was the possible televising of the riot trials. Televised trials are very rare in BC, and it certainly did get people talking. Now, the other is something that many workers in the province have been asking for years. Starting in February 2013, BC will be joining Ontario, Alberta, and Saskatchewan in celebrating Family Day. So good news for workers, but we'll have to see how business owners react, as they'll be the ones on the hook for stat pay for their holidaying workers. And estimates actually say that the province-wide costs of a statutory holiday are around $3 billion.
That's quite a hefty price tag for business owners, but it will be more than a year until they have to face this reality. Has there been any discussion on why the Premier chose to instate this holiday?
Well, you actually may recall it was one of the promises that Clark made during her campaign for the Liberal leadership earlier this year. So in a way it was expected. Now it also follows another Clark campaign staple, which is the promise to put BC families first. And that was a promise that she reiterated during the speech. She repeated her plans to raise BC's minimum wage and also to increase contributions to various educational programs, including allocating millions of dollars to special needs. Justin?
Thanks, Liz. After much anticipation, an updated iPhone was revealed yesterday. The new phone features an improved camera as well as other gadgets, but how does this rapidly changing technology affect our lives? Apple's newest edition is leaving many people wondering how dependent we have become on our phones. Grace Sullivan reports.
Hello? Hey, I gotta call you back. Sorry. With the new iPhone 5 coming out today, it's become more and more apparent that people are becoming way more dependent on these guys. And I just wanted to see how apparent it was with students today at BCIT.
I always use my phone 24/7. I never go on Facebook on my computer. I always go Facebook on my phone. It's much easier that way. And then I use my phone for my alarm. Use my phone to contact other people. And for resumes, I always put my primary phone number as my cell phone because I always use it. I'm always with it.
Yeah, phones, well, calls, messages. It helps to make the distance smaller between people. Maybe it helps you to make the gap between you and the person who's living, I don't know, 300 miles away smaller.
I forgot my wallet today, but my phone managed to make it with me. So if that's any show of display, would I prefer my money or my iPhone? So that obviously went out this afternoon.
Teachers at BCIT also noticed their students' constant need for communication.
Students using the phones in class isn't my favorite thing, but I think that the advanced technology of phones is really part of the student life and part of something you have to incorporate when you're teaching a class. You can't just pretend that technology will go away and isn't part of the life and part of the industry.
Brianna Lepien talks about how texting has become a part of her classroom learning environment.
Sometimes, like in our communication class, our instructor actually offers that if you would like to ask a question, you can text it in. So I don't know if they're too reliant necessarily. I think the world kind of demands it now.
It looks like phone technology is here to stay at BCIT, and students seem to have convinced their teachers of its benefits. I'm Grace Sullivan in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine. Sorry, I gotta take this phone call, sorry.
Coming up after the break, the Canadian rugby team returns to home soil. The newest Hope in the Shadows calendar brings opportunity and reward, and some local women are doing their part to help school children in Japan.
They say if you want a wish to come true, never tell anyone. But there is one wish that can make the difference between life and death. And this wish can only come true if you tell someone. Please, let your family know you want to be an organ donor.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. While the 2011 Rugby World Cup is still in full swing, sadly for Canada's men's team, the dream is over. But as the Vancouver contingent of the team returned from New Zealand, attitudes were optimistic that this was a major step forward for the national program. I met the team at YVR and filed this report. It's a hero's welcome at Vancouver International. The Canadian men's team return home from the Rugby World Cup as national icons, despite a disappointing finish that saw them fail to qualify for the 2015 tournament.
That was a pretty bitter pill to swallow on Friday night there. But, you know, that's the way the sport is. If you don't keep the ball in your court and keep the control over your destiny, we kind of lost the plot there against New Zealand, and you know, that's how it is.
Despite the finish, there were plenty of positives for the Canadian club.
The win against Tonga was a pretty big achievement for us, especially the first game of the tournament. And I think overall, just all the fan support that we had, especially after that Tonga game, we had such a successful game then, and then we traveled on. And the next time we arrived in Napier, the airport there was hundreds of Canadian fans, I mean, fake beards, everything like that. So it was a pretty moving experience for us to see that happen.
There's huge pluses that came out of the World Cup. A lot of young talent, and we're going to try and keep this going in the next year, and as well for a few of the younger guys and speedier guys are getting into the Olympics for the sevens program. I'm really excited.
Hopefully it builds from there, and that's what we want, right? We want to get more kids interested, more kids growing beards and playing rugby, and hopefully that'll develop our team and improve our rankings and get more guys playing overseas and get guys just playing rugby.
Going to be growing a beard yourself next time out?
Yeah, probably. In 4 years' time, I'll think about it. If everyone else is on board, I'll do it.
While the end result isn't exactly what Canada had in mind coming into the tournament, they still have much to take pride in. Their strong play, not to mention their wild beards, had this country talking rugby like never before. In the end, that kind of exposure can only mean good things for the future of the program. Justin Morissette in Richmond for BCIT Magazine. The Hope and Shadows calendar is back for another year, and the winners were revealed on Tuesday. Chad Klassen has the story of one man who's back doing what he loves on the streets of Vancouver.
In the downtown east side, James Witwicki is rediscovering his artistic flair after years of neglecting his passion. The tragedy of his wife's passing 2 years ago has inspired Witwicki to close the book on his life as a construction worker and start a new one on Hastings. The experience for him has been all positive.
What I found was healing and community and people that are really artistic and really welcoming of artistic things. And then that contest came up, and it was an excuse for me to get out of myself for a couple of days and take some pictures.
His photos now have him featured in October of the most recent edition of the Hope and Shadows calendar, showing off the self-reflective picture he took of himself.
This is just taken down at my hotel room just down here. These big old metal windows. And I had washed the window, and then the sun came over the building there and hit it just the right way so that I could take a picture of myself, because I didn't.
The calendar gives Vancouver's homeless an opportunity to take pictures and make money. It's $10 to buy, $20 to sell. For Witwicki, an English graduate from UBC, he owes a lot to his wife, who had a great impact in resurrecting the artist in him.
She was a great photographer. In fact, this picture of the Pennsylvania Hotel, when I looked at it, I thought the dark and light, there's no way I wouldn't have been able to shoot that picture if I didn't know her. So her influence on my work is incredible.
Witwicki is one of 13 people who have their own month in the calendar, and he'll now turn his attention to selling his spread and cashing in. Chad Klassen in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Disaster hit Japan in March, destroying many towns, villages, and cities. Some local Richmond women are doing what they can to provide comfort to the survivors of one town. Amanda Kumbos has more on what Steveston Village has dubbed the Comfort Quilt Project.
It's okay. Taking this.
12 of Richmond's finest quilters have been hard at work making quilts for earthquake victims in Onagawa, Japan. Richmond used their sister city of Wakayama to find a village hit by the tsunami to help out directly.
So far, we've made 62 quilts, which are going over to Japan very soon. Just show you the pile of quilts that's around the corner. Now, this is in the computer room, and as you can see, here are the rest of the quilts all piled up, ready to go off to Japan. In Onagawa, what happened during the tsunami is that the children were in schools all on the hillside, and when the tsunami hit, it took out much of the village, but the children were okay. Originally, it was our idea to make just a few quilts for some students that were going to come here in March of 2012, and actually it was so successful, we've made more than 62 quilts so far. We've got the Canada flag, and then we've got the label saying quilts for Japan, made with love by the members of the Textile Arts Guild of Richmond.
Right now, those quilts are sitting in Coruscant's home until they can be shipped off to adults and children in Onagawa. Amanda Kumbos in Richmond, BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcitbroadcastnews.ca and follow us on Twitter at BCIT News. I'm Justin Morissette, and that's today's BCIT Magazine. Thanks for watching.